I love it too. Thank you. So today's Father's Day, and rather than getting into the personality of Father, which we all have our own take on, what I wanted to look at was the principle of Father. And the idea is similar to the idea of the principle of Mother, which I spoke about in May. If it's not one thing, it's your mother. Which was all about that ability that we have to bring forth into birth the life that we want. Now, the principle of Father is a little bit different because the Father is the seed of the idea that is brought forth into the holy womb of creation that we nurture and bring forth into our life. But it's a little bit different than Mother. You might have noticed. I just want to give a shout out to Dave and Jen Bruce, who are in the room from Ohio. Welcome home. I have a reading that I'd like to do. I know this is John's reading, but John's not here. It's called The Race, and it's by D.H. Groberg. Just take a deep breath. Whenever I start to hang my head in front of failure's face, my downward fall is broken by the memory of a race. A children's race, young boys, young men, how I remember well. Excitement, sure, but also fear. It wasn't hard to tell. They all lined up so full of hope, each thought to win that race, or tie for first, or if not that, at least take second place. Their parents watched from off the side, each cheering for their son, and each boy hoped to show his folks that he would be the one. The whistle blew and off they flew like chariots of fire. To win, to be the hero there, was each young boy's desire. One boy in particular, whose dad was in the crowd, was running in the lead and thought, my dad would be so proud. But as he speeded down the field and crossed a shallow dip, the little boy who thought he'd win lost his step and slipped. Trying hard to catch himself, his arms flew every place, and amidst the laughter of the crowd, he fell flat on his face. And as he fell, his hope fell too. He couldn't win it now. Humiliated, he just wished to disappear somehow. But as he fell, his dad stood up and showed his anxious face, which to the boy so clearly said, get up and win that race. He quickly rose, no damage done, behind a bit, that's all, and ran with all his might and mind to make up for the fall. So anxious to restore himself, to catch up and to win, his mind went faster than his legs. He slipped and fell again. He wished that he had quit before with only one disgrace. I'm hopeless as a runner now. I shouldn't try to race. But through the laughing crowd, he searched and found his father's face with a steady look that said again, get up and win that race. So he jumped up to try again, 10 yards behind the last. If I'm going to gain those yards, he thought, I've got to run real fast. Exceeding everything he had, he regained 8, then 10. But trying hard to catch the lead, he slipped and fell again. Defeat. He lay there silently, a tear dripped from his eye. There's no sense in running anymore. 3 strikes, I'm out. Why try? I've lost, so what's the use? He thought, I'll live with my disgrace. But then he thought about his dad, who soon he'd have to face. Get up, an echo sounded low. You haven't lost at all. For all you have to do to win is rise each time you fall. Get up, the echo urged him on. Get up and take your place. You were not meant for failure here. Get up and win that race. So up he rose to run once more, refusing to forfeit. And he resolved that win or lose, at least he wouldn't quit. So far behind the others now, the most he'd ever been, still he gave it all he had and ran like he could win. 3 times he'd fallen stumbling. 3 times he rose again, too far behind to hope to win. He still ran to the end. They cheered another boy who crossed the line and won first place. Head high and proud and happy, no falling, no disgrace. But when the fallen youngster crossed the line in last place, the crowd gave him a greater cheer for finishing the race. And even though he came in last, with head bowed low, unproud, you would have thought he'd won the race to listen to that crowd. And to his dad, he sadly said, I didn't do so well. To me, you won, the father said. You rose each time you fell. And now when things seem dark and bleak and difficult to face, the memory of that little boy helps me in my own race. For all of life is like that race with ups and downs and all you have to do to win is rise each time you fall. And when depression and despair shout loudly in my face, another voice within me says, get up and win that race. For me, that is the archetypal father, the part of us that says, get up, the part of us that says, go farther, the part of us that says, do more, be more, stretch out. There's a wonderful Rumi writing that I love, and he says, beware when the old grandmother comes in your room and says, oh, you look a little peaked. You shouldn't go to school today. You should stay home and rest. He said, run from that. It is better to have a stern father who says, get up. I don't care if you're sick. Get up and go to school. Get up and go live your life. I'm paraphrasing Rumi at the end. And so for me, this idea of father, this masculine principle, this force of movement, the feminine is the receptive. It takes it, it nurtures it, it pets it, it grows it, and it kicks it out of the nest. But still, the father is the part that is that dynamic force in our lives, and the part of us that calls us to be more. The part of us that looks at us and says, mediocrity is not an option. The part of us that says your life is not meant to be spent taking care of yourself. There is a time for that, and there's a balance to that. But the father principle is the one that says, get up. Doesn't matter if you're running a fever. Doesn't matter if you're sick. Doesn't matter if you've just had a disappointment. Get up. Get up and go out and get your life. Go out and reach for that which is rightly yours. This is not a teaching that says you can simply sit on the couch and have everything show up. I'm fascinated with people. It is my hobby. I'm fascinated with people who say, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm just so overwhelmed. Now keep in mind that we are powerful, creative, spiritual beings manifesting our reality. We created it, and you can only create that which is already within you. The outside is simply a reflection of the inside. So whatever it is simply an outpicturing of you. And then we look at our own creation and we fall down and go, it's too big for me. It is us. It isn't too big for us. It is simply a manifestation of who we are. And if we look at the circumstances in our lives and break down instead of break through, then all we've done is created an opportunity to have what we want and given up on ourselves. And that's the time when the father principle comes in. It says you were not meant to live a life of failure. You were not meant to give up on yourself so quickly. You have more than you realize within you. You are more than you realize you are. It's that voice inside of us that says, do it again. Oh, I've done it 10 times. Do it again. Thomas Edison took him, over 2,000 times to get the filament right for the light bulb. That's the father principle within him that says, do it again. Do it again. He used to take naps with a ball in his hand, Edison, and he would lay down, and as soon as he fell asleep, the ball would hit the floor and wake him up. With all of those trials, all of those seeming failures, he wasn't even letting himself sleep so that he could do it again and do it again and do it again so that we get up in life. People say, oh, Barbara, how did you create all of this? I created all of this because I kept getting up. There's nothing that says you're not going to fall flat on your face. Falling flat on your face is no big deal. It doesn't make you special. People say, oh, I'm in the middle of a divorce. So what? Oh, I'm going bankrupt. So what? Oh, I got fired. So what? Doesn't make you special. Simply means that you outgrew the circumstance that you were in and you're ready to grow into a new one, and you're in that in-between time. It's the in-between time where we can fall. It's very dangerous. Very dangerous to bring in the old grandmother. It says, well, you know, you've been in a relationship, you loved, you gave your heart to them, and they just ground it into the ground, so don't even try again. You poor thing. I feel so sorry for you. Run. Run from that voice inside of your head. Run from that voice that says, I tried it, it didn't work. The only thing that didn't work was our unwillingness to commit to continuing through until we had it working. That's our job. Well, I tried this spiritual mind treatment stuff. I tried this positive thinking stuff. I tried this affirmation stuff. It didn't work. No. It worked. You didn't work. People are so afraid of working. You know, I heard about a new book. Haven't read it yet. I'm only going on the title, but I love the title. It's called Sweat Your Prayers. Sweat your prayers. None of this passive stuff. Sweat your prayers. Get up and take action on your own behalf. Do something. Don't just fall down because something said no. God, if we fell down every time something said no, we wouldn't be anywhere. So you fall down, so what? Get up. Get up. Get up and win the race. You were not built for mediocrity. You were not created to live a life where you just dig a hole and put your head in the sand and say, oh, I don't want to be stressed. I don't want to have to do anything. Gosh, I'm so over people taking care of themselves. I know I'm going to hear about this. What about balance? Okay, take your balance, but taking care of yourself is overrated. When people use that as an excuse to not live, when people use that as an excuse to not go for it, to put themselves out there, well, it's just too hard. It's just asking too much. The only reason you can feel like it's asking too much is if you're not being the person that created that, because the thing you created was simply a reflection of what you already are. So here we are going charging off into our future. We manifest our circumstance, and then rather than stepping into it and being lifted up by it, we collapse and we're overwhelmed. I love it. People say they're overwhelmed. What is to overwhelm you? Is breathing too hard? You know, you didn't have the right stuff on the menu. They were out of what you wanted. What is so overwhelming? We live in America. We have electricity. We have air conditioning. We have cars. We have houses. We have hot running water. What is to overwhelm you? The only reason you get overwhelmed is because you're afraid. I have no tolerance for fear. Fear is for sissies. The only difference between the coward and the brave person is the brave person goes forth with their fear anyway. If you weren't afraid, you weren't doing anything. Mario Andretti said, if your hands aren't sweating, you're not going nearly fast enough. So you're afraid. Great. Great. The only difference between fear and excitement is a breath. Everybody take a breath. Fear cannot live where you breathe. When you're afraid, you go till you pass out. Then you say, I don't know, it just didn't work. I better go back to my old life. Oh, we all do it. It's just how long do we do it? How often do we do it before we get up and go again? Our job is to get up and go again. I'll never love again. Never trust anybody again. Well, then you're going to turn into a bitter person. I'll never try again. I'll never go for it again. I'll never risk again. Well, then you're going to live a mediocre life. The Father principle is that voice inside of us that says, yes, you can. Not only yes, you can, but yes, you must. You must. You must expand and grow your inner sense of yourself. You must challenge who you are and go beyond those self-imposed limitations, or you live in a prison all of your life. What is it that you are telling yourself you cannot do, that you would rather lay in the mud because people are laughing at you than get up and do it again? What is it that you hold on to that says, I just can't? There is nothing in your life that you cannot do or have. Nothing. Because you created that. You created that. I'm going to say this 3 or 4 times so you get it. You created that as an outpicturing of your consciousness, which means you already are it and have it. Otherwise, you could not have created the situation. And then we look at the situation and we either get lifted up by it or we get overwhelmed by it. And the overwhelm is our fear, and the lifting up is our strength and courage. That Father principle calls you to be courageous. It calls you to step up and do it again. Step up, step out, and go for it. The mother is different. The mother says, oh, let me hold you. Let me rock you. Let me give you whatever you need. The Father says, get out. Get out. Go do what you were meant to do. You have it within you. You wouldn't have it in your life if you didn't have it within you. It's your choice how you respond to it. If you break down, you won't get the effects of your cause. If you break through, you will have everything that you have ever desired, because nothing will be able to stop you. That is my greatest wish. I don't like wish. That is my greatest thought for you, is that you learn how to live in such a way that when you fall, you get up. So that when you have a setback, you step up. So that no matter what happens, it doesn't destroy you. You may need some process time, I'll give you that. But it doesn't stop you, it doesn't destroy you. That you know that within you, you have what you need to move forward in your life. And if you have lost it, it is not yours. If you lost the job, the car, the house, the business, the relationship, the money, it's not yours. You cannot lose that which is yours. It just means something else is ready for you. Something else is waiting for you. Something else is calling to you. And then it's up to you to step forward and take that which is rightfully yours. It is the archetypal Father that is available to every one of us that says you have more than you thought you had. You have more strength, you have more smarts, you have more energy, you have more opportunity, you have more courage, you have more determination, you have more than you ever thought you had. It's up to you to use it. And if you hide in the corner on the couch, you will never be happy. I know it asks a lot. It asks you to risk. But this teaching asks you to risk. It asks you to lose. Not to be a loser, but to lose who you thought you were so that you can step into who you can be. The you that is yet to be is calling you to step up and win the race. And so it is.